For example, ice cream sales and shark attacks are correlated. They both increase as the temperature goes up. This does not mean that the sale of ice cream is somehow causing more shark attacks. Instead, a simpler explanation is the warmer it is, the more likely people are to buy ice cream, and the more likely people are to go to the beach as well, thus increasing the likelihood of a shark attack.
Some people think that the Constitution is just a document for adults or people who make decisions for the country, but it isn't. In fact, if you're a child under the age of 18, our Constitution grants you a range of special rights, like the right to a name and nationality from birth, or having your best interests taken into account in every matter. To understand what this means, let's talk to activist and protest leader Zuleika Patel.
The best interests of the child mean by protecting the child's dignity and the child's right to life and the child's right to a quality education.
Another protection is the right to be protected from bad treatment and abuse. This includes outlawing physical punishment. So, for example, no one at a school should be hit by a teacher or anyone else, or even at home by a parent or guardian, because hurting a person also hurts that person's dignity. So even if the person doing the punishment thinks it's for their own good, it's prohibited by the Constitution. And research shows that people who have been subjected to violence are more likely to inflict violence on others. So physical punishment isn't actually helping us build a better country. There are many other rights for children, including the right to nutrition, shelter, family care, and being protected from inappropriate work. Children have these special rights because they are a vulnerable group. We frequently read about children being victims of activities like child trafficking, child labor, and sexual abuse. If you are under 18 and think your rights aren't being respected, you can contact different organizations that are meant to help you, like the Center for Child Law or Child Welfare. The Constitution makes clear that every child is important and deserves to be protected. The Constitution and the rights it gives to children helps ensure that each child is properly cared for in South Africa.
Hello everyone, welcome to the program. My name is Janet Unterschlag and we are here because of the sponsorship of Liberty. And it's really great that we can be here to help you with your studies. And you can find us on the Tenfold Education app. Please find us, all sorts of information and past papers and a way of asking questions. You can also use WhatsApp. And once again, please find what we're offering and take advantage of the possibility of asking questions so that we can help you directly. Finally, you can find us on YouTube at Mindset Learn. So there are plenty of ways in which you can communicate with us, and then we can get back to you and we can help you. Last week, we started with some questions, and one student specifically asked me to summarize My Children, My Africa. And I hadn't brought it, but I wanted to show you, so I brought it today. So this is the text which is distributed by the department. And if you just look at the contents page, you can see there's a summary of the plot and a commentary. And it says, scene by scene summary and plot summary, quick reference on page 32. So if we just look at page 12, you've got this on this side. So there's the summary of the plot and the commentary. And then there's a scene by scene summary of the play. So you've got piles here, right the way through. And it goes on and on. So really it is detailed. It's not as though it's not helpful. It's very helpful, right? And then, on we go. And then you've got here a plot summary, quick reference. So what is Act 1, Scene 1 about? Isabel and Tommy debate against each other at Zulile High School, and they immediately like each other. Act 1, Scene 2, Isabel's monologue. Act 1, Scene 3, this is Mr. M asking her to join in the competition. Act 1, Scene 4, Mr. M's monologue. Act 1, Scene 5, Isabel arrives, Tommy, Mr. M leaves. Act 1, Scene 6 is Tommy's monologue. So it gives you on these 2 pages a really quick summary of the play. So the question that I was asking last week is, do you have the texts set and distributed by the education department? Because the people who write the texts are given quite specific instructions. And one of the things is, please have a summary so that students who've read the play or the novel, Cry the Beloved Country, can just refresh their memories with a summary. And I know I said there's also stuff on the net, but there should be stuff in your hands. And I'd be very interested to know if you don't have the textbooks, because you're meant to have the textbooks. Right, so I'm putting that aside. And remember, I'm very happy to answer your questions on any aspect. And as we move into September, I'm going to be looking more closely at the literature and also at aspects of writing. But today we are revising language. So we're doing language structures and conventions. We are looking at the text we started last week. So if we could just look at the headline. There are going to be words that are going to be difficult. So we're told that this search that people are doing is filling in the gaps in the data. So I would like you to know data is information. I would expect everybody to have some working knowledge of data. Which country are we working in? Mozambique. What data are we looking at? Biodiversity. So because we do bio at school, I would expect you to know that we're talking about plants and animals. And diversity is a word that we should see a lot, actually, because we talk about diversity in our schools, diversity in education, diversity in our political structures. So diversity doesn't just mean many or a lot. It means, when we're talking about plants and animals, many different species, different kinds. So I'm not just talking about, let's say, 500 lions. I'm talking about lion and buffalo and kudu and impala and what have you. So biodiversity data, where in Mozambique, elusive means difficult to find. And I'm going to leave skink for the moment. So one of the things that we are looking at today is vocabulary. There will be a very specific focus on vocabulary, because if you don't know the words, it's really difficult to answer questions because you're not grasping what the text is actually about. It's not just, oh yes, if I read this slowly and carefully, I'll get it. You need a lot more knowledge, and the more background knowledge you have, the better, and the vocabulary is critical. So where did this come from? It's from the Conversation, Africa, and you can see it was published on August the 15th. And there are the two authors, both of them from the University of Gothenburg. So we're looking at this particular article, which they wrote. Right, explain the headline in your own words. We've done that, except for the word skink. Then why is there an apostrophe? We're going back to what we've been revising. The apostrophe comes up so often in the matric exam. Please go over it. So we've got this apostrophe here. Mozambique's data. It's the data of Mozambique. So because of that idea of belonging, of the data of Mozambique, we've got the apostrophe. So why is there an apostrophe? It's possession. And home language students, I would expect you to say singular possession. FAL students, that would be great if you could, but singular possession. So this comes from the passage. Let's read it. Every morning the phone buzzes, many times in short succession, as the students send photo after photo of snakes, frogs, lizards caught in various traps. We scroll through the images. And I said last week, don't worry about this, because it should be perfectly clear that if they are looking at snakes and frogs and lizards, then these are the scientific names. So I'm not going to ask you questions about them. They should be in italics to show you, but don't panic. These two burrowing skinks. Now, somewhere I have asked the question here. So can I actually start with question number 4? We're explaining the use of the dashes. There are 2 dashes. We've got one there and one there. Why are there dashes? Well, look what is between the dashes. These 2 burrowing skinks, a type of lizard, were discovered in Lumbo, northern Mozambique in the 1920s. So what is this telling you? A type of lizard is telling you what a skink is. So we get these two burrowing skinks, then your eye gets to this dash, and your brain tells you, right, something is coming now that's separated from the rest of the sentence, a type of lizard and the second dash over there. So between the two dashes is some kind of information. What information? It tells me what a skink is. So what is a skink? It's a lizard. And they're expecting everybody to know what a lizard is. And I also thought you'd know what a lizard is. How do I draw a lizard? Okay, so sort of a fat body and sort of a tail and yes? Are we okay? Doesn't really look like a lizard, but I'm doing my best. Okay, so there's my lizard, right? So extra information. And if you're asked in an exam and you say extra information, they will give you the mark. I would like you to be able, for your reading skills, to say the information here explains what a skink is. So this word is explained by what comes after it. So that's why I didn't want to explain skink in the headline. Right, these two burrowing skinks, they dig into the ground, they burrow, they make holes, were discovered in Lumbo. We're told where it is in the 1920s. Naturalists often used the readily available infrastructure at military bases during the East African campaign as base camps for sampling. Right, now the first thing is state the tenses of the underlined verbs. So I want a nice bright color, orange. Let's underline the verbs that you are going to state the tense of. Here's the first one. Tense. Lovely. Second one. Look at the have. The have is the giveaway. Everybody get that? And our tense is? Did everybody get that? Excellent. Right, one of the things we're doing this afternoon is changing things into the negative. Every morning the phone buzzes. Every morning the phone. Now, when we're making it negative, we can't say not buzzes. We're in the simple present tense. How do we make the negative of the simple present tense? Did everybody get that? We have to put in this word, and then this form goes to the infinitive form. It's not does not buzzes. Does not buzz. Often in a matric exam, you get degrees of comparison. Is that what everybody said? Then we've explained the dashes, and now we have to change that sentence into the negative. Easy. We've already got the were, so all we have to do is put the not in there. That one is so simple. Let's try another one in the negative, another focus of our lesson today. What tense are we in? What's the finite verb? There. Now, in the same way that when we had the simple present tense, we had to put in a word. If we have the simple past tense, we also have to put in a word. But we don't put in does because that's the present. Naturalists often used naturalists, past, keep the often, and then watch what you do with used. So the past has now gone there, and this goes to the infinitive form. I know we've practiced a few derivatives. Home language and FAL can get a question like 7 or 8. So we want the verb form. So the easiest way to do this is to give yourself a pronoun or a noun. I, the girl. Right, we can't say I succession. If you look back, where's our text? In short succession, one thing after the other. We want the verb, and the verb is I succeed. The girl succeeds. So the verb form is succeed. Remember, succeed can mean you win. You're in a race and you succeed in winning. But when something is in succession, it means one follows the other. So let us say that at a school, the HOD is going to retire. You can ask, who is succeeding her? Meaning, who is the next person who's going to be HOD? So succeed has two different meanings. And now we've got to give the noun form of various. I'm just wondering how to help you with this. You can put a or the in front of a noun. So I don't want you to say the various children or the various races. I want you to talk about the and make this a noun. The something of races, the something of books, the something of vegetables. We have a ver of fruit growing in wherever, Mpumalanga. So it should be yes? Variety, the noun form of various, variety. We're looking here at a past paper. Always a good idea in order to revise. Go to a past paper, look through it, see how well you do, mark it against the memo on the net. So it's about the oldest tortoise. And let us start by looking at the first question before we even think about reading it. Now, this question causes some anxiety, some worry in students because they can't really prepare for it. What is the examiner testing? What do they want to know about? So let's get ourselves a purple and have a look. What are we told? There's a single error in each sentence. So each one will be out of 1 mark. 1 error. What is error? It's a mistake. What must I do? I must write down only the question numbers and the words you have corrected. Not the wrong word, the word you have corrected. Please read the instructions carefully. Right. read number A. See if you can see the mistake. If you can't see it, then go word for word. He does not look a day older than. Look at the second one. And again, if you can't see the mistake, look at each word one at a time. And you see that this is, and that's all you do. You write B, recently, A, than. Try C. Once again, if you can't see it, slow down. Ah, unknown. Right, now this one is a problem in that you really should go back to the passage. So these ones I could do without referring to the passage, but now I need to go back. He's found them in the Seychelles. So let's just read. He does not look a day older than 100. Okay, we fixed that one. But Admiral, the tortoise living at Mitchell Park Zoo, celebrated his 105th birthday recently. He spent his birthday in his pen alongside two fellow female tortoises with a birthday lunch consisting of fruit and vegetables. Admiral arrived at Mitchell Park about 105 years ago, courtesy of an unknown naval officer. He brought 3 giant tortoises to the park during World War I. Past tense, past tense. He's found them in the Seychelles in 1915, according to Mitchell Park Archives. The officer never returned, past, to claim his pets, and Admiral has been at the park ever since, outliving the other 2. Has been, present perfect. So why is this one in the present perfect? That's the question. We are retelling what happened in the past. The tortoise arrived at Mitchell Park. This naval officer brought 3 giant tortoises. You can't say he has found them in the Seychelles because we're talking about the past. The tortoise arrived, the naval officer brought, the naval officer found them in the Seychelles in order to bring them. He never returned, so that's all the past, and Admiral has been at the park ever since. So has been is present perfect. It tells us that something happened in the past, but it has been going on happening right up to the present. And the present perfect always has or have with it. So it has to be has been here because Admiral arrived at the park and he has been at the park from this time in the past right up to the moment the article is written. But it cannot be he has found them. It's got to be he found them. So just be careful. You can very often do this first question simply by looking at the question. But sometimes you might make a mistake because this sentence it's not really, that I think is the warning. He's found them in the Seychelles according to the Mitchell Park Archives and he's bringing them now. Could make sense. I think that's the warning that actually we're talking about the past. But generally, you should read the passage before you answer the question. So what did they test here? The than, then. I think this is sort of how one pronounces things. I was saying last week that people say, I should have studied for my trial exam instead of I should have, because they're saying should of instead of should have. So this is like a pronunciation error that then becomes a spelling error. Then this one is definitely straight spelling. That's what they're testing there. This is an, the indefinite article before a vowel, and this is tenses. So you see that they've done is they've tested 4 different things, one in each sentence. And that's what makes this kind of question quite tricky. At the moment, in the FAL paper, that is the first question in that major language section. So you have language, you have your cartoon and your advert, and then you kind of get to the nitty-gritty language section. That one, at the moment, starts with this. I would practice the last 5 years, because you want to see, well, what are they doing? What are they setting? Are they repeating anything? Is there anything that's in their minds that they feel that students still aren't getting right? These are common errors, and they want them to fix them. And you will see that by looking at past papers. So have a look, at least at the last 5 years, to make sure that you are on top of what the examiners are asking. But remember, that doesn't mean to say they're going to ask it in the next paper. Just that you've got an idea of how they're thinking, but they could think something else. Right. This should be fairly straightforward. Is there one right answer? No. So we've got a tortoise. It could be big, large, huge, any of those. And there are others. If you have a look in the memo, you'll see that they give a whole lot of others. We've got a sentence here. What have we got to do with it? Homophone. The matric exam likes to set homophones and homonyms. So we want a word that sounds like weather. Now, actually, I say it a little bit differently. I pronounce this one weather. I pronounce this one weather. I actually make that sound, right? I say who, why, when, where. I actually make these breathy sounds because that's how I was taught. I don't say ooh, why, when, where, okay? But it is basically a homophone. I want whether. So because I go, I can hear it and I can spell it very easily. How do we use whether? You use it in an indirect question. So I wonder whether we should take an ad break now. I wonder whether Becky is ready for me, or has he gone off and had a cappuccino? I wonder whether the weather is going to be warmer tomorrow than it was today. I wonder whether it's going to rain. He asked whether or not we wanted a cappuccino. She inquired whether we knew where the netballs were. All right, so that's the whether. You have to spell it correctly and use it in a sentence of your own. And since I've talked so much about an ad break, I think let's take an ad break before we go on to our next question.
No one ever asks why we do the weird things we do. Like, why once is never enough. Or doing 2 trips is just one too many. Why do we, before we use these, or say 5 when we mean 20? Why do we have second thoughts? And think that lift buttons make them go faster? Why don't we walk there? Cross our fingers, touch wood, and struggle to hide our true feelings. At Liberty, we want to know all the weird and wonderful things that make us human. Because human beings, being human, are what we make financial solutions for. Liberty, in it with you.
Did you know that scorpion venom is the most expensive liquid on Earth? Scorpion venom costs around $10,300,000 US per liter. Protein found in scorpion venom can be used to treat pain in humans who suffer from multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel disease, and rheumatoid arthritis. Only 25 species of scorpion have venom that would be lethal to humans.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here once again with you to help you with your study and your revision and your preparation for exams. And that is thanks to the support of Liberty that enables us to offer this to you. And you can find us on the Tenfold Education app, where you can find lots of stuff to help you. And you can also find us on WhatsApp. Once again, access what we are offering and engage with us. Ask us your questions. Finally, on YouTube at Mindset Learn. And engage with us, ask us questions, find what we've got. We're here to be with you and to support you. We're looking through a past paper, and once again, we're looking at derivatives. Noun forms of enjoys and hot. Now, earlier we had the word various, and it became variety, correct? So the ty or a cy ending can be a noun suffix, an abstract noun suffix. But enjoys has another very obvious abstract noun suffix. Enjoy, mint. So say to yourself, do I say enjoy tea, enjoy sea? No, enjoyment. Hot changes quite considerably and it becomes heat. Remember what I said, you could put the or a. So we wouldn't say the hot is upsetting me. We'd say the heat. You would say the enjoyment of the party. So you could put the or a, and the word immediately after it would be a noun. So you can practice that way. We're still working with Admiral, this very old tortoise. What is the correct form of the word in brackets? So this is another way of asking you degrees of comparison. We had earlier a pair of dashes. Now we've got a pair of commas. So let's see how they're working. There's our first comma, and there is our second comma. So we've got Admiral is the oldest tortoise there. Then we've got the tortoise living at Mitchell Park Zoo. What is this part of the sentence doing? It is telling us more about that word. So who is Admiral, the tortoise living at Mitchell Park Zoo? So once again, we've got extra information. In an exam, that's all you have to write. Home language or FAL, that's all you have to write. I would like you, for going forward for your studies at university, to be able to see that this is giving us extra information about Admiral. It is telling us something about that tortoise. So who is Admiral? He's the tortoise. Write the sentence in the negative. Be careful. So many of my students think that living is a finite verb. Remember, a verb ending in ing can never be a finite verb by itself. Okay, so I go. A verb ending in ing can never be a finite verb by itself. So if you're going to have I am living, they were living, we have been living, then that's fine, because your finite verb is the auxiliary plus the present participle. But look at this sentence. We've got the tortoise living. That is not the finite verb. There's no tense there. Look at that. There's no tense. So what is the tense of that sentence? And which word gave you the tense? It is present. And which word gives you the tense? Is. So that's present tense. So we've got to make that verb negative. If we're going to make it negative, it's that verb that's going to be made negative. So Admiral is the oldest tortoise there, is not, or isn't. Now, if you're going to write isn't, I beg you to get the apostrophe in the right place, because you're just going to upset the marker if you write isn't and put the apostrophe, I don't even want to do it, over there. I've done it. It goes there. Now, do you remember we talked about why? Let me get a nice bright red. It goes there. Why? Because we've got the N and the T. And what has missing? What's missing here is the O. Right. Give the abstract noun form of living and old. Now, neither of them are going to take our CY, TY, mint, all of the more common abstract noun suffixes. So say, you don't say, well, you can say my living, but I want another abstract noun, my life. And my age is. Right, now we're going to look at these words. We're going to go back to the passage and read it again, looking for vocabulary. Because one of our focuses for this afternoon is to improve vocabulary. The more words you understand, the better you can grasp what the passage is about. So just look through them. Before we go back, are there any words that you know and can give a meaning for? Maybe it's not the same meaning in the passage, but it is a meaning that you know. Remember, one word can have very different meanings. So we're going to go back and look for each of those words. Right, so let's find our passage. Is our passage here? Nope, hang on. Whoa, why did that happen? Can you go back the way you came? No. Right, here we are. So, oldest tortoise. He does not look a day older than 100. But Admiral, the tortoise living at Mitchell Park Zoo, celebrated his 105th birthday recently. He spent his birthday in his pen alongside two fellow female tortoises with a birthday lunch consisting of fruit and vegetables. He's in his pen. What is a pen? It's an area in which you put an animal with a fence around it to keep the animal in. And quite a nice word, much longer, is enclosure. So a small area, pen is a small area. Have you seen this with little children? There's a playpen. So it has sides, nice sides, not a fence, but usually sort of plastic, and you can put the baby in there with its toys, and the baby can play, and you can lean over and lift the baby out. That's a playpen. But a pen by itself is this small space, small place where you put the animal with a fence around it so the animal can't get out. But remember, there's pen, as in this thing I'm holding. That's a pen. So don't forget you can be asked to use the word with a different meaning. Admiral arrived at Mitchell Park about 105 years ago, courtesy of an unknown naval officer. Courtesy of. Now, this is a very specific use. We've talked before about formal and informal language. And this is informal. So what is the formal word courtesy? It means good manners. If I say how courteous you are, how polite, how well-mannered. But if I say we've got this courtesy of somebody, so it's courtesy of, it's that phrase. And that phrase is informal. And it means because of, as a result of. So if we go back to our passage, Admiral arrived courtesy of an unknown naval officer, because of this man. Now he's unknown, we don't know who he is, naval. So let's go to naval and change to an appropriate color. Right, naval means, well, you probably know navy. What's a navy? Navy is that part of your armed forces that has to do with ships and the sea. So this is a naval officer. So he was on board a ship. An officer, he's in a position of authority. He brought 3 giant tortoises to the park during World War I. He found them in the Seychelles in 1915, according to Mitchell Park archives. Now, what is an archive? If you keep records of the past, those records can be called archives, or let's say I put them in this room. So I have 2021 over there, and 2020, 2019, 2018 behind me, 2017. Then this room can be called an archive. And if I have rooms with all these records of the past, they can be called our archives. So I could say something like, excuse me, I'm looking for this book, and I don't seem to be able to find it. Oh, no, it's in the archives. It's like in the older section where we keep the older records. Right. The officer never returned to claim his pets, and Admiral has been at the park ever since, outliving the other two. Admiral spends his day entertaining children and adults alike with his size and speed. He also enjoys a nap in the pond when the weather is hot. Let's start with the easy word. What is a nap? I'm sure you've heard people saying, oh, can I just take a nap? So you say to your teacher, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, can I just take a quick nap? And you put your head down. So a nap is a short sleep. The more difficult one is entertaining children and adults alike. So, in fact, let me start on a new page. So what we've got is children and adults alike. Now, I expect you to know, let's say, if I said, he is like his brother, I expect you to know that use of like, meaning he is the same as his brother, or he is similar to his brother. So they're not identical, but they are very similar. It's got a related meaning. When you say that this tortoise provides fun or enjoyment for children and adults alike, it means the same. Which word would I use to replace it? I would use the word both. Are you following me? So we are saying that maybe you think a tortoise would be fun or enjoyable to watch if you were a child, or to look at, or to see this very old tortoise. But you might think, no, but adults, why would adults want to look at the tortoise? This passage tells us that children and adults equally enjoy visiting this tortoise in his pen. So there's the tortoise with his head sticking out and the bottom of his shell. And because he's, 105, or at least that's what we were told then, he's such an old tortoise, everybody enjoys seeing him. And that's the meaning of alike. And you could get asked a question in an exam, something like, do children only enjoy seeing the tortoise? Or you could get something like, choose the best answer. A, only children like the tortoise. B, only adults like the tortoise. C, nobody likes the tortoise. D, both children and adults like the tortoise. And then the answer is D, because of that word. And it doesn't mean they like the tortoise, as in, I like chocolate or I like mangoes. It's not that kind of like. It's the same as he is like his brother. He is very much the same as his brother. Okay, are you with me? Right, back we go to our passage, and we've done our nap. Right, so let's move down here. And, oops, how am I going to move this down? Where's my mouse? I can't find my mouse. No, I'm told it's down here. Whoa, I can't move anything. Okay, let's see if we can. Whoa, it's writing. Okay, I'm going to open a nice blank page and go to the next words, which are significant and current. These are the two words we're going to look for. So back to our passage, which is there. Oh, no, it isn't. It's there. All right. So I'm just going to have to read it to you guys. Not a problem. We are told here that, let me find my passage on my piece of paper, the value of ordinary paper. A spokesperson says that Admiral, we're talking about Admiral, is the oldest tortoise in the country, and he now plays a significant role in drawing tourists to the zoo. Now, what I want you to notice here is what aspect of life this idiomatic expression refers to. Plays a role. Who plays a role? What are we referring to when we say that somebody plays a role? We're talking about an actor. So this play is acts, and a role is the part that an actor plays in a play. Once again, just have a look at things like this, because this is part of the idiom of the language, where you've got a metaphor which is used so commonly that we don't even think of it as a metaphor anymore. So you'll be told, excuse me, that this politician has played an important role. This tennis player has played an important role. So we use that metaphor very, very often. And once again, you can get asked questions on that in the comprehension side of your exam. Right, what does it mean if you say you play a significant role? The easiest synonym is important, but teachers often like to set a question which says, why is this significant? Rather than just important. And I was thinking about the difference. When I say something like, why is it significant that Lady Macbeth washes her hands? Why is it significant that Mr. M arranges a debate? I don't just mean important. I mean something that is big enough or large enough to have importance. So in a way, significant is like a little bit more important than important. But this is the easiest synonym. Just remember, the teachers like to use that word in tests and exams. So you need to know significant. And how would you answer it in literature? You would say what it shows us about the character or the theme or the mood or how it affects a relationship. So Lady Macbeth, the famous thing of washing her hands, she can't get the blood off her hands. Why is it significant? Because she's feeling so guilty. Because it's destroying her. Why is it significant that Mr. M arranges a debate? Because to solve problems, Mr. M believes in speaking to people, discussing, arguing, not fighting, arguing, reasonable arguments. So it's significant because it's the central question of that play. How do we solve problems? Through violence or through discussion? So it's significant. So it's important, but it's like slightly bigger than that. Are you with me? Now I want to come to the word current. So we're told that Admiral is going to be added to the Guinness Book of World Records. So the Guinness Book of World Records is information about like the biggest, the oldest, the tallest, the fattest. And so he's going to go into the Guinness Book because he is one of the oldest tortoises in the world. Then we're told the current record holder. What does it mean if you hold a record? You are the person known for that. So the record holder at the Olympics or the record holder at the Paralympics is the person who's done the best in whatever race or activity it is. So the current record holder of being the oldest tortoise is actually not Admiral. It's a tortoise called Jonathan. And Jonathan lives in St. Helena. What does current mean? The current record holder means the one who holds the record now. Once again, you can be asked to use current with that spelling with another meaning. And at that point, you would write something about, I'd like to change my color once again. So you would write something about water. So the current in the sea or the current in a river is that strong push in the water. So if you've ever stood in the sea, you can feel that pull, and that's like a current. And then you can be asked, but give another word with a different spelling, and that would be current with an A. And then you'd be talking about a dried fruit. So what we've looked at this afternoon is focusing on that language question in the final exam, which for FAL students is 20 marks and for home language is 10. But you get asked very similar things in slightly different ways. So you need to go over things like put it into the negative, or derivatives, give the noun form of this, give the adjectival form of that, give the adverbial form of. And I've tried to show you that one of the ways to do derivatives is to put it in a sentence where you know that would be a noun, like the life, the heat, the enjoyment. You know that that's a noun. Then put it in a place where it's a verb. The enjoyment succeeds. It's where the verb would be. So you need little tips to help you to put it into the right form. And home language and FAL get that. And then we've looked at things like apostrophes because it comes up in virtually every single exam. Spelling can come up in both FAL and home language. Then you could just get random things that you're not prepared for. But go through past papers because it'll show you the trends, what has come before, what are the examiners interested in. Always keeping at the back of your mind that they might change their minds and do something completely different. And then we've looked at vocabulary, because without vocabulary, you don't understand. Please send me your questions and join me again next week. From me for now, bye-bye.
up, peeps? Welcome to Moby School. We are here to make sure that you, yes, you get all the marks that you deserve on the go. We're here every Mondays to Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m. only on Mindset Learn TV. Now, this is a whole hour worth of revision just for you. And I hope that you've got your notepads and your pens ready and that you and your study group are game for today's revision session. Now, my name is Joe, and just like you, I'm also in matric, and I'm here for a whole hour to make sure that I ace my final exams. And I hope that you will be doing the exact same thing. Now, do remember that we love hearing from you guys. So log on to our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/MobySchoolSA. Drop us your comments, like our page, share the page, and even spread the Moby School family even bigger. Now, isn't that cool? Yep. Yes, it is. Now, do remember that you can catch us here for a whole hour of revision session where all of our awesome teachers come right here to help you guys revise. So on that note of the first revision session, let's head straight to our teacher.
Hello everyone, this is the English Home Language novel, which is Dorian Gray, and we start